discussed, sort of, I did Ms. Young, give them sort of like the introduction to you, give them the background that you're from Philadelphia, you're a Democrat, and as Justin just reminded us, running unopposed. So some of our initial thoughts of what would you do that your opponent wouldn't. That question doesn't feel as appropriate anymore. But certainly some of the other issues we discussed, issues of like sort of social justice issues, and what you might do or how you might stand on issues regarding um, things, for example, the Black Lives Matter movement and the issues of police brutality that we see unfairly targeting people of color. Do you have any thoughts or plans for the state of Pennsylvania to kind of be a leader in this social justice movement?
So let me just start by, again, thanking you for this opportunity to speak with the class. Students, thank you for your willingness to want to participate and just inquire. I will say that I did not start off this. I didn't start off at this moment. I actually started off in an environment and in a space where you currently are, just curious, trying to figure out what life looks like for me in this moment as a high schooler, as a middle schooler, as someone living in an urban environment and just is bombarded with so many different problems that as a teenager, I'm like, I shouldn't have to deal with racial injustice or joblessness or homelessness or parents or family members dealing with addictions. And so growing up in these environments, you have to grow up a little quicker than some people. But I'm here to just let you know it's absolutely fine. The human journey is not unlike, it's not as disconnected as people think. We all really want the same things, but our approach to it is different. So I'm not sure how many of you know that I was Red-Eyed Tilden for years. So I've been working with this particular group of people in this environment for years. And if you've ever dealt with me personally, you know that my message is very consistent. Everybody holds value. So regardless of where you are, regardless of what you think should be shameful, know that everything that you have in this moment can be used as a platform for something bigger. Never allow anybody to tell you that you are you're not worthy or you shouldn't matter or you shouldn't have a voice. Even in this moment, even in your brokenness, times of uncertainty, you have a voice. So you need to exercise that. I don't necessarily get into the Black Lives Matter movement because the truth of the matter is I'm a Black woman and my life has always mattered. Not because it's a popular slogan now, but I'm Black. I'm raising a Black son. I have a Black father. I have a Black husband. I have a Black daughter. My Black life has always mattered. So don't, you choose the alliances that you want to have, but always be authentically who you are. When you are in a room and it seems like you shouldn't say something, I always encourage my students around me, find something to say. People are not always going to be as inviting, but because you matter, because your voice matters, even in this moment, you make them pay attention to what you have to say. Drown out those negative noise because somebody's always going to have something crazy to say to you. It doesn't even matter. But you matter. And that's the overarching reason why I really wanted to be on this call, to let you know, even in this moment, you matter. So don't allow people to drown out your voice. So to your question, I'm sorry. Yes, because my life matters, I will always fight and advocate for those people who are not at the table. I'm elected to be the voice of the people who are not at the table. So whoever you elect, whatever your political views look like, if people are not advocating for your household, your existence, then they're the wrong people. So if they are in that office and you didn't elect them, you still make them advocate for you because you matter. So that's my position.
Thank you very much for the response. If any of the other students have questions they want to ask, that's great. If not, we did have a little pool of questions that we discussed in class, and I'd be happy to share what some of their thoughts are if they might be feeling a bit timid about asking questions directly.
That's fine.
Hi, Ms. Young.
Hey, how are you?
Yes, I'm Marie. I would like to know, where would you be in the next 2 years?
Hopefully back here. Hopefully my goal is to make sure that I'm still advocating for the people. But I will tell you this, Marie, I think anybody who's in a public servant role, once your mindset is no longer on the people you claim to represent, you got to figure something else out. I don't believe that politicians or anybody should be in a space if they're no longer serving the people who they said they were going to serve. So my hope and goal is to continue to serve the people. But if at any opportunity or any time that shifts, then I need to escort myself off of this platform. So you just got to know where your strengths are and know why you're in a role. So my hope is to be a state rep again next year, in 2 years.
So what keeps you motivated?
You guys, like I said, I am I'm a Black woman, and I have a Black child. My son is in high school. I have a daughter in middle school. I have a Black husband. So until we can freely walk wherever we want, go wherever we want, and feel just as valued as our counterparts, well, then I have a fight. So my motivation is making sure that equality exists with equity. The two are not disconnected. Unless you feel valued and can walk freely, my job's not done. So I got to make sure that we're creating the pathways for people like you, because you deserve to be highlighted. And so that's my job. That's what keeps me motivated.
All right, thank you.
My pleasure.
First off, I'd like to say good morning.
Good morning.
So my first question is, what are your plans when you are in office?
Great question. My plan, so my priorities are improving public education, creating social justice, specifically with our immigrant population. I don't think that we bring enough of their values and their strengths to the table, because Southwest, especially, or my district, which is Delco and Philadelphia, have a lot of immigrants, but they're not necessarily a part of these political conversations, and we need to make sure that they're included. The other thing is workforce development. So I want to make sure that we have a strong enough economy within our own district. So those are my plans in terms of legislation. But my real work and passion, and what I have been doing before you got on this call, is making sure that I surround myself with enough knowledge and education with my future peers, my senators, my congresspeople, my organizations, my schools, because the more of you guys I can put together, the network, the larger that network, the stronger I can fight in Harrisburg. If my people are not connected here in this community, then I'm not really doing a good job in Harrisburg. It doesn't matter what I'm doing in Harrisburg. So I'm spending a lot of time making sure that I am hearing your voices. I'm trying to build a strong base so that even when I'm not physically here, the work is continuing for people like yourself.
Okay. You ever was scared to like not succeed in something? Ever had the fear of not succeeding?
All the time. But you know what's awesome about it? Your fear is your motivator. I don't know, I probably am dating myself, but I used to say when I was in college, like, let your haters be your motivator. But sometimes the fears and the things that I talked about when I first got on this call, about all of those distractions, it can make you feel like maybe if I'm quiet enough, people won't see all of my deficits. If I'm quiet enough, people won't highlight what's wrong with me or what's wrong with my family or what's wrong with my own fears. Maybe I'm not smart enough. Maybe I'm not pretty enough. Maybe I don't use enough of the big words, right? So fear can definitely stifle you. But I will tell you this, if you push past that, it's not about proving anybody wrong. It's about proving yourself right. Every day, believe me when I tell you, everybody who wakes up in the morning wakes up with a purpose, whether you realize it or not. You wake up with a purpose. You wake up wanting to do something, even if you can't put your finger on it. Something deeper inside you say, you got to get up because you need to do something that's going to be achievable. You're going to really have to drown out those voices. And when I say drown out those voices, whatever that looks like, I like to listen to jazz music or I listen to DMX. So it depends on the kind of day I'm having. I like to drown out anything that's going to tell me I'm not going to be my best self. And once I get to that point where I can listen to that person that's deep inside me, then I walk towards that voice. So it's really good, especially with you guys in this age group in this day and time, drown out those things that's going to make you quiet out your reason why you woke up this morning. So fear can't stop you. It can if you allow it, but it shouldn't because you woke up with a greater purpose outside of fear. But I'm scared all the time.
Is there something that you feel like you can make better if you do not do, but if in life that you can make better if you do win state representative?
I do. Can I tell you something? I am a state representative come November officially, I guess. But I will tell you this, even outside of being a politician, just your life counts for something better right now. All of us in this room, and again, if you ever spend time with me, this is nothing new. We all hold value and we all have strengths. People in our circle, even if I'm in a particular space, I don't like it. I don't necessarily shy away from it, but it does kind of make me uncomfortable when people go, oh, this is State Rep Young or Regina's doing this. I always go to somebody else because everybody has strength. Everybody you're around have something to offer in this life. Everybody you around have something to offer in this moment. So I don't want you young people to get confused with titles. Titles can be important, but that doesn't define who you are. It's your character of who you are. So what is it that I'm going to do? What is it that I would like to see happen? I would like to just see humanity happen across the board, not because I'm a state rep, but because I'm a human and I want to make sure that we don't have to walk in fear anymore. So I'm like taking a long way to answer your question because I don't want you to think that you have to have a certain title to be impactful. You absolutely don't. Right now, we can make decisions right now that determine the quality of the character of the person you're around right now. When I was in high school, I was on all kinds of groups. I had no idea that this is where I was going to end up. But I just knew that I love to be around people who are about making change. Of course, I'm thinking it was like high school stuff, but here I am today. So intentionally focus and be around people who are going to bring the best out in you. So when you get to state or Congress or presidential level, you would say, I was always building for this moment. It didn't just happen by accident. I was building for this moment. So yes, as state rep, my goal is to continue to see us highlight humanity in politics. That's what my original slogan was, bringing humanity back to politics.
Okay. And another question. Because you're a strong Black female, do you ever feel like your word or your opinion wouldn't have an effect on everybody in a society?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're human, right? So I'm going to always reiterate that point because I never want your young minds to think that you have to achieve or acquire to be something specific to have value in your voice. There's always going to be moments where you're uncertain. There's always going to be times when you're just like, well, maybe I'm not good enough, or they're going to think I'm idiot. Guess what? People, you know how many people are in this earth? There's always going to be somebody who's going to tell you you're not good enough, or you're dumb, you need to be quiet, or my title tells me that you are an idiot. Like, whatever. People say all kinds of stuff. But what I just shared earlier, you got to pull out the inner person that you have and say, you know what, I'm worth the risk, because I don't think I'm an idiot. I was born with purpose, and I'm alive right now. So let me at least let people know that. Earlier on, I had an interview and I was telling people, broken people can't be shamed. And I'm not sure if this is going to go over your head or not, but I was always in this political lane, because everybody dress a certain way and they act a certain way and they speak a certain way. I have an honorary doctorate degree. I have a master's degree. I have a bachelor's degree. I think I'm okay when it comes to intelligence, but I will tell you this, my background, coming from a mom who was an alcoholic at the time, grew up on welfare, grew up in the high-rise projects. My mom didn't care if I went to school. She was just like, well, you'll do all right. So I never really tried because nobody really pushed me. They were just like, well, if you go to school, you go to school. If you do well, you do well. So I was like, well, nobody is really checking for me like that. So let me see what I'm able to do on my own. And my brothers, were drug dealers. I got nephews locked up for life. Like, so my reality is a little different. So if I was to have gone off of what I see other politicians do, actually, I did say I'm not qualified to run for this office because I have a distorted background. And my colleague, well, my future colleagues now, we're just like, Regina, you're just like everybody else. There's a lot of people with those kind of stories, but we don't say it because it's shameful. But because I come from such a humble space, I realize that those experiences, my life journey, my family story, helped me get to right here. Because people like you need to know. You might see the mustard colored sweater and the long flowing hair and somebody who seemed polished, but I wasn't always there, and I'm still not there. But you have to allow yourself opportunities to be human and to know that you're worth fighting for. If nobody else tells you that, you need to know yourself. I'm worth fighting for. So I'm going to push past this moment. I'm going to take the risk for somebody calling me a dummy, because guess what? You're not always going to be the smartest person in the room, but you're not always going to be the dumbest person in the room. But you are a person in the room. That should be your focus. I'm going to be in this room because the way our society is set up, only you are able to keep yourself out. And the reason why there's so much voter suppression and people trying to quiet your voice is because they see your strength and they're hoping that you don't see your strength. That's why they're trying to distract you with all this other stuff.
I know we only have a couple minutes left in class. Does anybody have any last minute questions they want to ask Ms. Young? Well, I definitely want to thank Marie, Corey, Troy. I thank you guys so much for feeling comfortable to. There we go. I've got my little bell schedule set up so I know when my next class is going to start. I really appreciate you guys asking Ms. Young these questions. And Ms. Young, I want to thank you for sharing your time with our students and reminding them that hey, even when you guys are here and you're just being quiet, your voice matters. It's really important. So I wanted to thank you for that.
My pleasure. And any opportunity again that presents itself, I love this stuff. The power is really with the people, and this is the time to continue to reiterate that message. And obviously, once Harrisburg opens back up, I would love to invite you guys down, or I can come down. I love this stuff. So anytime.
Thank you so very much. That sounds great. That sounds like a real cool opportunity.
My pleasure.